Hello, Tom Barnett here again with another story behind the illustration. Here, one that seeks to transmit a message from the future, one that says basically size matters. So, embracing the reality that China and India will eventually come to rival and or eclipse the United States as competing demand centers within the global economy. So really a realist's portrayal of the numbers game. Now, I remember trying to sell China along such lines in the 1990s and often getting laughed out of the room. But with that then inconceivable reality now come true, it seems far less radical to predict the same about India, even as there are plenty of skeptics out there. But that's oftentimes American pride talking. So what I wanted to do here was to suggest that, yeah, size matters, and China and India are going to matter big time in terms of their markets and brands, and thus their competing appeals to the global south relative to the far smaller in number U.S. But likewise, I wanted to signal the continued vitality of America's brand appeal. This idea goes way back for me, highlighted here by a post I did for Time magazine in their Battleland blog back in 2011. This notion of China, India, and America becoming this BRICS-like acronym of their own, the CIA trio, a G3 world, if you will. The point being made, these are your three truly heavyweight superpowers, full-service superpowers, fully capable superpowers of this century. In original drafts of the book's outline, I had posited a literal rehashing of the CIA bit, which led Sarah Nuttall to gin up these early conceptuals. The first, awarding America third place, sort of a warning, and the second, really in Charlie's Angel style, intimating that strategic collusion among the three would ultimately make sense. Alas, that segment did not survive the early edits of the manuscript, even as the notion lived on in a series of threads I had planned around the theme of what it will take for any superpower to quote-unquote win the 21st century. Sarah's first conceptual along these lines was a bit literal, as in size not only matters but determines how you place. And yeah, the idea here was that third place America would find itself quite puzzled by the outcome. That particular image was fleshed out by Jim Nuttall, but it was problematic once you started implying national identities, because then it seemed like I was making a firm prediction of relative placement, and I didn't want to go down that path. It just seemed pointless to me. So this image and this idea likewise bit the dust and was subsumed into the thread that ultimately survived this winnowing process. Now, what survived was that strength in numbers rendition of what was originally the CIA world projection, that G3 concept, if you will. But here, Sarah conceptualizes it more as a choice, with the U.S. seemingly lacking in size, absolutely true unless we grow, yet somehow remaining central to the structure. So China represented architecturally on the left, India on the right, and the U.S. a bit carnival-like in the middle, suggesting a more vibrant brand of the three for that global South audience to consider. When Jim generated his first draft of Sarah's conceptual, he kept the basic structure, amped up the carny feeling, and installed Uncle Sam, my favorite, as Carnival Barker, which I loved. But then, with Jim's second iteration, it seemed like we were inferring U.S. supremacy. I mean, everyone in the audience seemed to be heading down the one path, ignoring the alternatives. We attempted to address that bias in the Red Team review, the keynotes from the reviewers being 1. Turn down the wattage on America. 2. Skip that all roads lead to Rome vibe. 3. Spread the crowd out more, suggesting a real choice, real competition. Oh, and my favorite, turn Uncle Sam, the carny barker, into a wild and wacky inflatable tube man. Jim accommodated all these suggestions in the final book version to include yet another very distinct iteration of Uncle Sam. And that's the story behind this illustration. As always, we love it when people buy the book, when they recommend the book, when they praise the book online. I and my Throughline colleagues, we feel very passionate about this work. Please consider subscribing to my Substack newsletter. And see you next time, next illustration.